Alright, so this is chapter 8, and once again, I'm gonna get you to see the disclaimer. And here's a disclaimer. Zoom in 3 seconds, and then back to the picture. Alright, there you go. So anyways, with this thing in mind, let's get to the start. Chapter 8, The Great Upheaval. An old man was resting on his couch, and he sighed as he looked at a bundle of walnuts sitting around on the table. Suddenly, he heard someone knocking on the door, so he stood up to go check who's outside. Yes, I'm coming. After opening the door, he smiled upon seeing Lord Pericles, Commander Lucas, and Commander Lapidos. Well, well, if it isn't big old Pericles and his band of thugs. Lord Pericles chuckled. Hey, Cadmus, we're not a band of thugs. Cadmus chuckled. Oh my goodness, I forgot that you're a band of raiders coming to check on my house. Lord Pericles smiled uncomfortably. Well, you're not wrong on that, but still, please, we're not in the mood to joke around right now. Cadmus smiled. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm just very bored this morning. And I'm happy to see that you're doing fine. He suddenly calmed down. But why come here so early? Is it an urgent matter? Yes, it's about a major structural change coming to the fortress, and we felt that it's necessary to inform you too, because you represent the town and you want the previous cooperation to continue between us fortress soldiers and the civilians of this town, Lord Pericles said. Cadmus sighed. It's not a good idea to get an old man's head working from this early, but come in first. It seems that it's important. Lord Pericles nodded. Thank you. We appreciate it. Soon, Lord Pericles, Commander Lucas, and Commander Lapido sat on their couches around the table and waited as Cadmus brought some water. So, what are the changes? Cadmus said. Commander Lucas handed him some papers. Here are the detailed set of changes that we're most likely going to enact in the fortress. Cadmus frowned while reading the papers, and it took him a long time reading through all of them while others sat around and ate some walnuts. Finally, Cadmus finished reading. It's a good thing that you youngsters have put much time coming up with such changes, and I do like many of them. However, why don't I see anything which would help out the town? Lord Pericles flinched. You're mistaken. Our guys will bring servants. Then they will buy things from this town to sustain them. Isn't that enough? Cadmus shook his head. That's easier said than done. Sure, for a while your guys will spend some money buying things for their servants, but eventually they won't come around the town so much, because everything they need is sold or given out freely in the fortress. Lord Pericles scratched his head and started thinking. Therefore, Commander Lapidus decided to continue the conversation. It seems that you're talking about the food that we ration to our soldiers. Isn't that right, Cadmus? Cadmus nodded. Of course, that hurts the economy in our town. Because your guys don't bother to come down to buy groceries and other stuff. I'm not blaming them, because it's just not in their incentives to come down. So I ask you to stop the rations. Lord Pericles frowned. We can't stop the rations. You're asking for a great deal. They'll go mad and rampage around in the fortress. Cadmus chuckled. Pericles, you're overly cautious. If it was at any other time, then I might have agreed with you. But in this case, no. It's because you're delivering such great salvation to them by allowing servants in there. That's a nuisance on your side, so you must balance on that nuisance by giving your guys some sort of nuisance as well, lest they become spoiled and get used to only the generous changes. Does it make sense to you? Lord Pericles sighed. Yes, but we're already constructing a resource building just for that. If we do away with it like your suggestion, then that building is a wasted cost. Cadmus shrugged. Why don't you use that as one of the servants' housing then? We can't, because the structure just doesn't match, Lord Pericles said. Cadmus grimaced. Yes, you can! Seriously, no more excuses. You're simply trying to take the easy way out, Pericles. Well, there's this excellent way which just takes a little bit of effort to exert. Look here, I have the mind of a young super lord, while you have a mind of an old wheezing lord. Now, this is a sad change I'm sensing in you. It seems that you've been overworking too much. So, listen carefully now, he shouted, because he has been really frustrated about some things for years. Suddenly, someone shouted from inside the room, "Why is it so loud out there? Just keep your mouth shut, you crazy old fart!" Soon, Cadmus looked at the direction of the noise. "I say whatever and whenever I want. Don't you dare tell me to shut up, you uncultured, unkempt, impertinent old hag!" Then Cadmus turned back to look at his guests, who were very dumbfounded. That was one big nuisance. A very big nuisance, to be honest. Don't worry about that noise, it's nothing. Just consider it as a very loud dog barking next door. He cleared his throat as he thought about where he stopped previously. Oh, by the way, don't try to make the fortress function by itself. I know that was a way of the previous lord, but you don't have to follow everything that he taught you, because he did what he had to at the time. At that time, there wasn't enough food, because there weren't many people living on this island. So he had to import them in bulk from Constantinopolis, Lemnos, and Salimbria. However, things are changing now. He coughed a couple times. 3 or 4 years ago, when you really went out of your way to protect us civilians from the raiders' assault, many former civilians have come back here to settle down, and they have enticed many others to come and settle down as well, expecting you to continuously be the same kind of lord, unlike that previous old junk of a man whom we previously had. Therefore, with more people living here than any time in the past, there are more farmers, and they are putting lots of groceries out in the market. Yet, many aren't being sold off because your guys are still relying on fortress rations. So they have to go all the way to Constantinopolis to sell them. He flipped the page and looked for something. And see here, you stated that a society functions well if its money is in a good circulation, and you correlated the system with our body and the blood with it. That was your explanation in trying to get your guys to buy some armor which the fortress owns. I tell you what, I like the idea, but I really hope that it gets expanded and include the town as well. I will talk to the blacksmiths here to see if they are willing to adjust their prices, and your soldiers will check out their places too. And I will talk to the merchants and farmers to see if they're able to put out more food and other necessities in the coming times when you implement such changes. How does that sound? Lord Pericles couldn't say anything for a long while. Not only did Cadmus make a great suggestion, but that old man complimented him and used his phrases against him, efficiently and sneakily putting forth the town's interests as well. Seeing him struggle, Cadmus cleared his throat. "Well, I'm positive that you're a man of your word, Pericles, so implementing my suggestion wouldn't be hard at all for you. In fact, it'll be worthwhile for you because it'll be good for everyone in the long run." Lord Pericles chuckled. "I guess we should heed to your suggestion then. I don't know how my guys will react to the changes, but I'll hope for the best." Then they wrapped things up and Lord Pericles stood up to leave. "Thanks, Cadmus. I hope this settles it for now." Cadmus stretched while sitting down. "I'll let you know if I have something else in mind." Then he watched as Lord Pericles and Commander Lucas leave the house. Suddenly, he realized that Commander Lapidus didn't leave with them. "Why are you still here? Weren't you going to leave with them?" Commander Lapidus chuckled. "Ah, yes, but I need to know if you still need someone to fix up your roof." Cadmus seemed lost for a while, but suddenly got angry. "Yes, I requested that months ago, yet none of your engineers came to fix it up." Commander Lapidus smiled. "Relax, just take it easy, sir. Carpos is going to come here this week to fix it up." Cadmus flinched. "Carpos? No, not that guy again. Come on, send someone else. I don't want him ruining my roof for the second time." Commander Lapidus sighed. "Nobody else wants to do it either. They're all scared of you." Also, they did a lot to see who's coming here, and Carpo's name got drawn. So I guess that it's the Lord Almighty's will that Carpos fixes up his own mistakes. Cadmus grimaced. Whatever, just get out of here. You ruined my good mood from this early. Sorry to have bothered you, but early preparation is much better than late one, Commander Lapido said, and he got out of the house. Lord Pericles glanced back when Commander Lapidos drew near. Ah, there you are. What took you so long? Just letting the old guy know that his roof will be fixed up soon enough, Commander Lapidos chuckled. But where are you going now? This isn't the route we take to get back to the fortress. Lord Pericles nodded. This isn't. We're going to take a look around the town to see what's going on, and then we'll go to Carius to tell its leader about the changes. Understood, Commander Lapido said. Then they all continued walking, and then the day went by fast after that. Oh, yeah! It was early morning, and Thomas stretched his arms as he sauntered around the barracks, enjoying the fresh air. Soon, Ephraim joined them. Good morning, Thomas. Good morning, Ephraim. How's it going? Thomas said. I'm doing fine. Ephraim looked around. It seems our fortress community is stabilizing now. Huh? What makes you think that? Thomas said. Ephraim smiled. Things seem just so calm and nice these days. The executives have already paid our wages. Everyone's having a good time, and civilians' complaints have been minimized. Thomas chuckled. Well, look at you. You're always pessimistic, but now you've changed somewhat. Ephraim chuckled. Yeah, it's because the past wasn't very good compared to now. Thomas simply nodded and they walked in silence for a while. However, Thomas just had to say something. You know, Ephraim, I hate to break your great mood right now, but I need to tell you that something bad will happen soon. The executives are planning an all-out money raise as of this moment. Ephraim suddenly stopped. You're joking right now, Thomas, aren't you? Surely, having lived and worked in the fortress for many years, Ephraim knew the horrors of the money raids ordered by the executives. They lunged at the unsuspecting soldiers and completely erased such soldiers' well-constructed plans for the future. If some soldiers are willing to cooperate and pay, then the whole place gets ransacked in search of those soldiers' money and jeopardizes those of other soldiers as well. If somehow some soldiers do indeed not have any money, then either they forfeit some of their valuable belongings, or in the worst case scenario, their upcoming wages will be cancelled by the executives for a certain time, calculated to match the payment they had to make. Thomas stopped and turned around to face Ephraim. No, it's serious now. We may have all sorts of rumors in the past, but this one's serious, and I mean it because Commander Proteus personally told me to get me and my squad ready for it. Ephraim stared at Thomas for a while and sighed. So, what are their plans? How are they going to go about collecting debts from people who either can't or don't want to pay them back? Thomas chuckled. Come on, Ephraim, that's too easy. They will mobilize all the fortress keepers. Ephraim slowly nodded. Oh, that's why they suddenly hired fortress keepers in droves. Indeed, the hierarchy situation was seemingly definitive, but also very complex in this fortress, in which there was no absolute answer to who's above who. Fortress keepers could just as easily be ranked over all the soldiers if the executives ordered it. It was so complex that every faction was ready and willing to brutalize others when ordered, so they all became used to temporary power given from time to time during necessary moments such as money raiding time. Thomas shrugged. Perhaps. Suddenly, they started hearing people shouting from other barracks. Thomas gazed ahead towards where the noise was coming from and nodded. I think it's starting right now. They're getting the heavy melee guys first. He walked over to Ephraim. Come on, let's go back to our room and inform our guys. Ephraim slowly nodded and they started going back. Hey, it's strange that heavy melee guys are the first to be extorted by the executive's heavy hands. They hardly get punished, Ephraim said. Thomas nodded. Yeah, surely. But I think they might have crossed some lines that they shouldn't have crossed. They may be getting too bold because the executives rely too much on them for all the heavy and brutal work. Ephraim pondered. You may be right, because you remember seeing some big scary guys amongst the fortress keepers, right? Thomas chuckled uneasily. Of course. I don't know where they came from, but they're right here with us. Soon, they came back into their room and hastily got their roommates to wake up. Then, they proceeded to do the same at Magnus' room. Upon seeing that all his group members had gathered, Thomas took a deep breath. Hey guys, make sure that you have your money ready by the time the debt collectors come to us. There will be no escape from this one. Seth shook his head, trying to stay awake. What if you had already paid up your debts? Just be ready in case. You don't know what they'll say to get whatever they need, Ephraim said. Officer Kai sighed. You know, Captain, weren't there many rumors in the past, and those weren't true? I guarantee you that this one is. Thomas suddenly flinched. Be quiet. Everyone listen. Some of them put their ears to the walls to listen while others just sat around. There was noise coming from other rooms, possibly those of archers. Then they were able to hear Captain Claus trying to reason with the debt collectors. And finally, their door was pounded numerous times, demanding to be opened. Ephraim slowly moved over and opened the door. Then in an instant, three fortress keepers came in with papers in their hands. Everyone in this room, you all need to pay the penalty fees for goofing around during Lord Pericles' absence. A fortress keeper said. What? Hey, what's that about? Seth said. The fortress keeper slammed the paper on one of the beds near the fireplace. Around 4 months ago, you guys went to Halki Island without having finished all work in the fortress and without permission. That's why. Wait, but Commander Kairos gave us permission, Seth said. That's his problem. He was told to work in the fortress, not to set his soldiers loose, allowing them to go anywhere as they please. Be grateful that it's just the fees that you're paying, because if you guys really went off even without his permission, oh, then you guys would have been handed lavatory cleaning duties at the same time. Thomas' squad members had their heads low in grief. Another fortress keeper cleared his throat. And where's Andel? Andel was frozen in place in fear, while others were pointing at him. On top of all that goofing around penalty fee, you need to pay up your real debts now. The fortress keeper moved over to hand him a paper. And Edvin, you also need to pay up. Another fortress keeper moved closer. Lucio, you owe us the most. You also need to pay up all the extra penalty fees that have piled up. He then handed over a paper to Lucio. Lucio looked at the paper and he was starting to tremble. Edmund frowned. Hey, can I pay it next month? A fortress keeper folded his arms and grimaced. That thing was due 1 year ago. You better pay it up right here, right now, including the interest. What if I don't want to? Edmund said. The fortress keeper sighed and approached close to Edmund. I don't have time for you to be stalling here. So if you aren't going to pay it up right now, then you're coming with me to the headquarters. The executives are all awake and ready to give you punishments, or even take your future wages if you refuse to pay. Edwin grunted and slowly looked around, but nobody seemed willing to support him, so he reluctantly got up to go for his storage where he kept his hidden coins. Others followed and started taking their coins out to make payments. Suddenly, one fortress keeper clapped his hands once to gain attention. Captain Thomas, Ephraim, Seth, and Apasios, you all owe 3 times the goofing penalty fees, because in this report, it said that you guys went to Constantinopolis and Salimbria to take care of your own mission. Ephraim frowned and sighed. Thomas scratched his head and grimaced while Seth and Apasios trembled in rage while taking their coins out. Soon, the fortress keepers loaded all the payment coins into the bags on their cart outside and proceeded to go back to the headquarters. Then, the atmosphere in the room became very foul with all the soldiers gritting their teeth in anger. Seriously, why did they really have to do that? We'll pay them up soon, Andel said. Seth flinched. Wait, so you guys all had money to pay up all your debts, but why didn't you do it before? I was saving up to buy better armor, Edmund said. Same here, Andel said, and Lucio nodded. Still though, why didn't you pay up your debts? That's the first thing you need to do, isn't it? Seth said. Edwin shrugged his shoulders. I guess, but I thought they forgot about it. Lucio sighed. I was going to give back my armor, get myself refunded, and buy discounted armor. Soon, other soldiers around them gazed at them in shock. Holy smokes! Seth had his mouth open. Did you guys honestly think they have forgotten about them? Or, he pointed at Lucio. You, Lucio, you're even worse. You really thought about getting a full refund of your armor that you have used for 2 years? Lucio nodded in confidence. Yeah, they're still clean and fresh. Yeah, because you hardly do anything during rainy campaigns, Seth said. Just shut up! You're annoying, Lucio said. Seth chuckled. It seems just shut up is your trademark, so that's the only thing you could come at me right now, huh? Lucio grimaced at Seth. At least I don't act like a mother's mangy dog like you are. So just get lost, you stupid mutt. Seth grimaced. Who do you think you're calling me a mother's mangy dog? You're the one who just really looks like one. See that long, shaggy hair of yours and your small frame, which fits so perfectly to those mangy dogs which had no chance to grow due to malnutrition and much stress. Lucio stood up and punched his bed frame. And you're a horrible, heartless devil spawn. Seth couldn't say anything for a short while. Either what Lucio said made him really uncomfortable, or that Lucio just didn't really make sense himself. So the silence fell into the room and it lasted for that duration. Soon, Seth sighed. Honestly, Lucio, you're such a savage vagrant who has no idea about the system here. Even Apacios would know more than that. Lucio scowled. And such a thick-mouthed, stubborn peasant. Just leave me alone. It's none of your business. Seth flinched. What did you say? Seriously, if you were sane enough to have paid up your debts on time, then you wouldn't feel so cornered as how you are right now. Lucio was about to say something, but he was cut short by Officer Kai. Seth, just stop it. Seth frowned. Hey, why are you telling only me to stop? He was participating in it too. Just stop it, Officer Kai said. No, I am not going to stop. He always corners me whenever he could, so it's my turn to do it, and it was getting good, Seth said. By then, Thomas and Ephraim had already gone out of the room to discuss other things, while Andel and Edwin had gone over to the fitting room to dress into outside clothes. It's annoying, so just stop, Officer Kai said. Seth stared at Officer Kai for a while. Dude, seriously, what is he to you? This is so unfair for me. I mean, we have known each other since we were young, but all you do is side with him every chance you get. You're such a friend, a horrible one to state it nicely. Officer Kai zoned out and stared blankly at Seth for a while. It was because Seth had never said anything like this to him before. Pasius moved over to Seth and pulled on his arm. Come on, Seth, let's go dress up. Maybe we'll have a meeting today soon. Okay, fine. Seth slowly got up, but continued staring at Lucio. But we're not done here, Lucio. I'll make sure that you have your fair share of shame. And you too, Kai. We need to talk later.